Right, where do we start?
Back up the truck, because I'm hopping in. This is big. I don't know what that means.
I think Nintendo Wii was mid.
No.
Hello and welcome to Tearjerkers, the show where we make tier lists about all things gaming. My name's Matt and I am joined this week by George and Phil. Guys, how are we? We good?
Pretty good.
Great.
Excellent. I'm glad the audience know that now. This week we are going to be doing something very exciting. We're going to be looking at video game console game libraries. Now, I'm pretty sure we've all had a game console or two in our time. We've also heard of other games consoles. But we're not looking at the console itself, but the libraries of games that came with them. We are starting with the PlayStation 1. So I guess we should go straight to you. Your PS1, in terms of its game library, what sort of games did you have? And what sort of big games do you remember from it?
Biggest one that stands out is Crash.
Of course.
Crash Bandicoot.
Well, it's interesting, the PS1 has so many big franchises started on the PS1. You know, Gran Turismo, Tomb Raider, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy VII, Crash Bandicoot, Tekken 3, Castlevania, Silent Hill, Tony Hawk.
It's pretty strong.
That is ridiculous. What do you think about all those franchises and how big those games are?
The thing is, it's for me personally, whilst I recognise them as big franchises, I didn't play any of them.
No.
Crash was the only one, really.
But
I was too young.
But those games are huge.
I appreciate they're very big.
So where are we going? You're saying mid, you're saying S.
I would say A, I think.
I think A. A feels fair. I mean, there aren't going to be many consoles that have better game libraries, especially when you think all those hits that came out. All absolute bangers.
Okay, fine. Yeah, A.
We're going to go with A. A for the PS1. Absolute classic. Okay, next up, actually a console from a very similar generation, the Nintendo 64. Now, this for me is a real mixed bag because there are some absolute legendary games that came out on the PS4. But there's also some absolute trash.
I remember the hype around the Super Mario 3D.
Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
That one, I remember everyone being excited about that.
Yeah.
Which is still a
huge.
Great game now. I mean, it hasn't aged brilliantly, but it's still a really good design game.
Yeah.
You know, and you think about the other ones, Zelda, Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Arguably the best game ever made, people would say.
One of the best theme tunes.
Majora's Mask as well. So that's a 1-2.
You think about Nintendo and those are the ones.
Yeah.
The only thing that brings it down, and unfortunately it does bring it down quite badly, is it did have probably the worst game ever made, which was Superman 64. Famously, an absolutely diabolical game.
Is it an A?
It's an A to me.
I think it might be another A, yeah, because there are still one or two stinkers on it. Also, Batman Beyond, Daikatana, but
There's some rotters, but I think A works.
It's very similar to PS1. Okay, next up, something more modern this time. One of the best-selling consoles of the last 15, 20 years, the Xbox 360.
Ooh.
Hello.
Now, either of you own one?
I did.
Absolutely.
That was my teenage console.
This was a lot of time spent on one console.
I played so much FIFA on that.
So much FIFA, so much Halo 3.
Fable
was dope.
Yep. Oh, that's an S to me.
There are a few stinkers on it, but I mean not in the same level as the first two.
Whilst this is game libraries, I just think from a console in general, like it had Xbox Live. That was the first time I was like online with my mates.
Summer of Arcade. So you used to get like Super Meat Boy,
the
Limbo.
indie games. Unreal.
It's an S, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, that swayed me, that one. I'm an indie fan, love indie games. So that is an S tier for the 360. It's going well so far, guys. Got some good responses. I think we might be getting another one here with the PlayStation 2.
Oh gosh.
The PS2, I mean, I would argue this might have the best game library of all time.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And like the list is quite frankly remarkable.
But does that mean that there's also some absolute
stinkers,
boggers in there?
There's surprisingly little actually from my research. I mean, I'm going to just mention a few of the big ones. Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, Ratchet and Clank came from the first time from the PS2, Shadow of the Colossus and Ico, Devil May Cry. This is as good as the 360. Do you not think
there's not a single massive bog trotter out there, you know what I mean?
There's some poor games, but there's not like a one that's so bad it should be like cast aside.
Okay.
I would put this in S tier as well.
I'd join you with an S on that.
It's an S tier.
This is high so far. Very high.
Okay, this next one I think will be for Phil because it is the GameCube.
Big fan.
As much as there's some really good games on there, you're talking about like Mario Kart Double Dash, Super Mario, Sunshine,
Smash Melee. People love Smash Melee, don't they?
There's some really good games on there, but there are so few good games on there.
Compared to other Nintendo consoles, I think.
So what were you?
Quite mid. This is B.
B?
I think B.
I think B, because there were some great games and there's very little rubbish on it.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go B for that one. All right, now we have our first console from Sega. It is the Mega Drive / Genesis, depending on where you lived. Have you ever played these?
It's a Sonic one.
Yeah, Sonic.
I mean, what else would you play on a Sega console? Let's be honest. I mean, there were a couple of really decent, Streets of Rage. A lot of people love Streets of Rage.
Big, yeah.
Big sports game, like some of the biggest sports games of all time came from the Mega Drive. You're looking at NHL '94, NBA Jam. So I don't think it's the worst.
Yeah.
C or D?
C?
C, D.
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 D it is. Okay, next up, this one might be quite interesting. It is the Xbox One.
Ooh, okay.
Now-
Did you own one?
No.
Now, well, the reason why you didn't own one, because there weren't any games on it.
Oh,
this
is
the
that
problem.
why?
This is the main problem with the Xbox One. So the Xbox One came out, obviously there was a lot of controversy when it came out. But if you look at the history of the games that actually came out on it, it was Halo, which we've already talked about.
What, Halo 4
Halo
or 5?
4 and 5, Gears 5,
Okay.
more Forza, which is fine.
By this point, is anyone still playing those titles? Do you know what I mean?
Or are they still playing them on the old 360? And also, the other thing to remember about the Xbox One was there was a lot of Kinect crap on it. Because the Kinect was originally inbuilt.
Yeah.
So you had things like Fighter Within, worst fighting game ever made. Kinect Star Wars, do you remember Kinect Star Wars?
I do. I remember the advert. It looked
Oh,
horrible.
it was one of the worst
looked
things.
horrible.
All those Kinect sports games that didn't
Yeah.
work.
I remember them pushing Kinect hard and
Yeah.
no one cared at all.
But it didn't work. You think, oh, new console came out recently, must be good. I don't think it is at all.
No.
Yeah, it's quite bad.
It had not. It's almost I think it's an E tier.
What's our lowest? E?
F is our lowest tier.
It's not lowest,
No, because we had a couple of games.
but I would say probably it's lower than the GameCube.
I saw lower than
Yeah,
the
way
Mega
lower
Drive.
than the GameCube.
Lower than Mega Drive. It didn't even have one big
Yeah.
Sonic hitter, really.
No, E I'd say.
E, yeah.
E for the Xbox One. Might be controversial, but there we are. All right, next up, one of the most important game consoles of all time. It is the Nintendo Entertainment System, or the NES. You guys play games from the NES? You must have done, surely.
No, not
No.
really.
I mean, if you think about just how many classic franchises started on the NES, Super Mario Brothers. I mean, everyone's played Super Mario Brothers at one point or another.
Yeah.
The original Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Kirby, Mega Man, DuckTales, Castlevania, Final Fantasy, Duck Hunt. I mean, it's pretty impressive
Pretty
when you
good.
think about it.
Yeah,
pretty big.
It's pretty good. That's quite high.
But you don't seem particularly enthused for top tier.
I don't think it's quite top.
I don't think it could be S.
Yeah.
Or is it? I don't know. There's a lot of big ones, but I don't know if I don't think it's an S.
I'm happy to give that an A.
All right, A. We'll go with an A. All right, another console from Sony. This time the PlayStation 3. Either of you guys own a PS3?
No.
I did have one. I played quite a lot of PS3. I mean, there was a lot of big names in there. Like Last of Us was big. Little Big Planet stands out.
Okay.
Uncharted,
Uncharted, what a classic
It
game.
just feels like the forgettable brother of all the PlayStation games.
a little bit.
Like PlayStation 2 has some really good stuff. PS4 has some really good stuff. PS3 was just in the middle.
So where would you put it then? There's some big titles in there.
Like a C?
I wouldn't give it, I think maybe a little higher than that,
B.
but not too
B?
much.
I'd say B.
I'd say B. There are a lot of big games that came from it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all right, we'll go with B on that one. And now we have the Dreamcast, a console that came and went pretty quickly. You guys ever played one?
Really?
really.
I knew I had one friend who had one.
Yeah.
Over the Hedge was the only game I played.
Okay.
Incredible. There were some pretty amazing games on it, actually, when you think Shenmue, Soul Calibur, Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, Rez, Star Wars Pod Racer, Phantasy Star Online. Surprising amount, but it didn't do a whole lot. There isn't a lot out there now that you'd say, yes, that's amazing. I want to, go back and play that.
I'm not hearing that many big names there.
Fantasy Star Online? No?
What is that?
Console
It's like
MMO.
yeah.
I'd go E.
It's not that, there were some good games on it. It was just a very quiet library.
My vote's E.
I think probably D.
Fine.
All right, now we have the original Xbox. The big green tank that used to sit, in the
Okay.
room. Either of you ever actually owned the original Xbox?
No. I was a PlayStation guy at the
Had
time.
one friend who did.
What did they own or play on it?
I remember playing Earthworm Jim. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
He was like a wiggly worm with guns,
Yeah.
and he just
Yeah.
did this a lot.
Yeah.
It had a lot of forgettable versions of games that were better elsewhere.
Yeah.
It tried to do platformers with Blinks, the cat, and it was not very good. It had a bunch of B-grade shooters and B-grade fantasy games.
It's mid
Well,
to me. It's like
mid,
C.
I think it's lower.
It's probably
than
lower than mid.
I put it lower.
Lower than
for Fable
C?
alone, I want it to be at least C, but I don't
What
think.
about Halo?
But it was just the first one.
So I need an answer from you both. Xbox.
D, I guess. D, C, C.
Yeah, D. I'd be happy with the D.
C's a bit generous.
Well, I'll
yeah,
take that
maybe
back
D.
you. I'll put that in D. That is D for the Xbox as well. And now we come to probably the oldest console on this list, but one of the most important, arguably, in the Atari 2600. Now, this is a slightly odd one because it had a lot of games that you could only really play at home. You know, Space Invaders and Pac-Man and all these kind of. It is literally that old, and obviously at the time that's a revelation.
Yeah.
But there is a big problem with this console, and it's ET. Because ET, in a very short, digestible way, basically almost killed the games industry. They had to bury all these games that they'd made because they made too many games, and it was terrible, and it ended up sinking Atari and sinking the entire games industry.
Is that enough?
That's an F.
Is that enough to put it bottom? I mean, there's a lot of big. I'd say E personally because think about those titles, the other ones.
But one of the titles killed games.
It's nothing is bad. Nothing has ever been as bad as that.
That's an F.
What you're saying F2?
I was saying F1. From the oldest console to one of the newest in the PS4. I mean, lads, isn't this
Slam dunk.
It's such a good console.
Huge.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man,
Yeah.
yeah.
Best games ever.
It is, yeah, that is true. God of War, Uncharted 4, Horizon,
Last of Us Part 2.
Persona 5,
Spider-Man.
yeah, FF7 Remake, Bloodborne,
Spider-Man.
And
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
All right, then. I think that's pretty much an S tier from all of us, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. From one massive console to another in the SNES, the SNES. And again, an older console, but I mean, it's so iconic in how many games came from that console.
Yeah.
Not
What do you
a
think?
fan. Not a fan. Nah.
No?
Nah. What was there?
But Mario Kart came from the SNES.
Mario
Oh.
Kart.
Link to the Past, Super Metroid, Donkey Kong Country, Star Fox, Mario RPG, Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Okay,
Harvest Moon.
it
I can
doesn't
see-
really
I-
get much better than that.
I can
guess.
see it all
Yeah,
changing
yeah.
around.
Wait a minute, no, there's lots
Wow.
of incredible games on this console.
Yeah, that's an S.
Nintendo are pretty good at this,
Yeah.
That's pretty S.
It is,
Yeah.
it's an S. S for Super NES.
Wow.
All right, another Sega console, this time with the Sega Master System. I don't think many people have really ever played this.
What even is
I
that?
had no idea it existed.
You thought the Mega Drive was first?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Sonic came from the Master System. That is it. That is what it came from there. But
What else is there?
not a lot. Alex Kidd, Space Harrier, Golden Axe Warrior. It's not good.
All it is where Sonic was born.
Sonic is huge though.
It's not enough though. That's not enough.
Is it almost F tier?
It's probably E.
Yeah, it can't be F. I think it's E.
Sonic's the only redeeming factor.
Yeah.
At least it has one. Okay, we'll go with E for that. Just. And next up, we have. This is going to be a very interesting one. The Nintendo Wii.
Ooh.
Because
Hello.
there's a lot here. Right, where do we start?
Back up the truck because I'm hopping in. This is big. I don't know what that means.
I think Nintendo Wii was mid.
No.
I think it was mid.
For Wii Sports alone, that's up there.
Yeah, but
one.
it had some stinkers.
Call of Duty 4.
Every Sonic game on there was a stinker.
With the little gun.
They had FIFA
Guitar
with
Hero.
the wand. Wii was just one of those consoles you want to play in a group. Like, I just remember going to people's houses and just playing Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, just running like.
I don't know. I played a lot of Wii by myself though. Like,
Why?
Because it was fun.
Why? What are you doing with your life?
It was fun.
This so feels to me like a C grade because it's
I'm saying
so
C.
good, lots of good things,
Yeah.
lots of terrible things,
Yeah.
and yet it has to fall in the middle
Wii
somewhere.
Sports.
Yeah, but that doesn't help. That's only
Wii
one.
Sports is massive.
Also, the Zelda games on it were pretty weak as well.
Were
Twilight
they?
Princess, I'm not having.
No, I didn't bother.
Either way, I think C ultimately is fair. We don't have anything else in C, and I'd like the Wii can always sit on its own in C and just learn and think about what it did.
Yeah.
Like all the people playing it on their own.
Yes, exactly. All right, and now we have another Sega console. This time the Sega Saturn. Great name, not a great console.
We just keep going with the Segas, don't
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
we? Yeah.
Like,
What did it have?
I mean, very little.
Sonic,
Some more
probably.
Sonic, had Sega Rally data. There's a lot of like arcade ports, Virtua Cop, Virtua Fighter.
Okay.
Which are, they're okay.
So again, it's not the worst.
Virtua Fighter's pretty good.
It is pretty good, but even then, it's not going to carry something by itself.
Yeah.
It's going to be an E, isn't it?
E,
Yeah.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah.
God, Sega, you've got to pull it out. All right, next up a console I guarantee most of you won't have heard of. It is the Neo Geo.
I'm not sure.
I have no idea what that is.
Right, so basically it was an arcade port console that you would take into your home to play arcade games. Each one cost about 150 quid to buy. The consoles were really expensive.
Wow.
There wasn't a lot on it. I mean, you had King of Fighters, Samurai Showdown, Metal Slug, Fatal Fury. Very little support from other developers.
I'm not hearing a lot of positives here.
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
It's not a good console.
That's an F, I think.
It has to be an F.
It's an F. All right, we're nearly there, but let's now do the Philips CDI. Not yours. Not yours.
Not your
What?
Not yours.
What?
Either of you guys heard of this?
I know. I think isn't it the worst Zelda games on there?
Yes. So basically, it came after Nintendo and PlayStation were going to do a thing,
Yeah.
and then they didn't do it anymore. So they went to Philips and licensed some games, and they produced some of the worst Nintendo things that have ever existed, let
Pretty
alone
bad.
games. Not only is it bad because of the console, but also it then led to us not getting the Nintendo PlayStation, which would have been
Any good games?
no, genuinely not.
And considering the fact that Nintendo and PlayStation went in very different directions after
did.
that has to be very low.
It's an F.
That's an F.
Has
an
to be
F.
Yeah.
And finally, we have the most recent console on the list, the Nintendo Switch. Phil, you said this is your favorite console ever?
This
fan.
is my favorite console ever because it has the best Pokemon games on there.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
It does. It does. Best
That's
looking.
just straight lies.
Best looking Pokemon games on there.
Best looking.
Yeah.
Fine.
Best
Mario games on there.
Go for it.
I mean, it's got other stuff too.
The downside is that, you know, it has games that like are also on the PlayStations and Xboxes, but they're just not as good.
No, that is true. They run pretty badly.
Yeah.
The Switch library is pretty unreal.
A lot of indie games on there.
A lot of
indie
indie
games.
game. You know, you've also got Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Animal
Yeah.
Crossing, Smash Ultimate,
Breath of the Wild.
Ring
is the
Fit.
best game.
Ring Fit. I love
Ring
it.
Fit Adventure's
Love some Ring
amazing.
Fit.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think it's S because of what Phil said,
Yeah.
but A, I think fits.
Yeah.
Hey, I can go there.
A. All right, we're going in A. And that's it. That is our tier list. I'll run it down for you one by one, starting from the bottom. In F tier, we have the Atari 2600, the Neo Geo, and the Philips CDI. In the E tier, we have the Xbox One, the Sega Master System, and the Sega Saturn. In D tier, we have the Sega Mega Drive, the Dreamcast, and the original Xbox. In C tier, we have the Nintendo Wii and nothing else. In B tier, we have the Nintendo GameCube and the PS3. In A tier, we have the PS1, the N64, the NES, and the Nintendo Switch. And in S tier, we have the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 4, and the SNES. Chaps, happy with that? Anything you'd change? Anything you want to swap?
I think all the consoles that came out before 1990 should just go way lower. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's that. I'm sure there'll be many people in the chat who don't agree with you on
Yeah.
that. But George, anything else you want to add?
Not really. I'm pretty happy with that, I think.
I'm pretty pleased, yeah.
I think it's probably pretty good overall list. I tried to not be too harsh on the older ones, even though I haven't played those.
No, well, we've got a couple lower down there
Yeah.
anyway, so I think we're pretty much there. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us, and thank you for watching. Of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification to get every time we release a new video. My thanks to George, my thanks to Phil, and my thanks to me for hosting. We will see you for another tier list at some point. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.